I am not offering legal advice.
Oh yes.
This is not legal advice. These are my own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't offer legal advice. People DM me all the time asking for it. And I'm like, y'all are trying to get my license snatched. I would like to remain
An
licensed.
attorney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like my job. I would like to keep it.
I'm Nani.
And I'm Ant.
Join us on Law and Order as we unpack the hottest topics, trending lawsuits, media buzz.
Take a listen as we cut through the noise to reveal fact. What's really going on?
Tune in for sharp insights and a fresh take on today's stories.
Follow us everywhere for your dose of lore. Period.
Yes.
We're gonna have this memorized at one point.
One day. Soon.
Yeah.
All right. This is our first official episode. We did record a pilot. It was really a pilot so that way we could figure out all of our tech. We got some good clips coming from it.
Yeah.
Some really good things coming from it. And it'll add a lot of context to the things that we're talking about today. Because we talked a little bit about
like who we are.
Mm-hmm.
We talked a lot about who we are.
We talked a lot about who we are. There's a lot of lore. And that episode is the lore because we was yapping. We was yapping. But okay, you want to introduce the people to you?
Oh, sure. Hey, everyone. I am Antonia. I go by Ant. I am an attorney. I am 27 years old. I'm from DC. I went to college and law school out in California, but I moved back to DC afterwards. That was always my plan. I always wanted to come home. I plan on, being down here, settling family. I just love the area.
Love the city.
Yes, love the city. Can't let it go. I was already gone for a long time. It was like 7 years. And I think that's good for so far. Like, okay.
Yeah, we'll unpack more. But I'm Nyana. I mostly go by Nani. People pick and choose what they want to call me. I went to Morgan State University. I got my degree in media production. I've worked in several different avenues of media. I've done media sales. I've done digital marketing. I did a little bit of photography for a while, but really, I've done social listening. I've done social media research, so kind of like researching algorithms and like social media trends and how they affect people and things like that. So yeah, I've worked in a few different
background.
I've done a few different things in media, but production is definitely my favorite. Post production is definitely my favorite. That's my bread and butter. I be sitting in my computer at my desk at home, and I be like, girl, I be doing a lot.
Yeah, but, so all this setup and stuff like that is her. I don't know what's going on, but I trust her.
Honestly, it really is just kind of like trial and error sometimes because like every piece of equipment is different. You have to work everything differently. So sometimes like we're using a roadcaster right now, and this is never used a roadcaster. So like I had to figure this out. And then but my degree did give me some leeway on that too. Oh, and then I also took I never went the journalism route, but I did take a lot of courses in journalism. I try to stay away from it because it is so it's a little tricky. It's a little finicky. I have strong opinions about journalism as itself from being a journalist. But we will get into that.
I guess some more background. I currently like the kind of law that I do. I'm not a lawyer that you see in like a law order and stuff. I'm not doing litigation. I'm not in the courthouse. I'm not even really talking to judges and stuff like that. I do more so like policy work, like looking into like regulations, the law, like trying to make things more accessible for people with disabilities. I do that a lot. Work with veterans, things like that. Just trying to make sure, like, when new laws are introduced or they're looking at laws that currently exist or what's different, like public entities and places of public accommodation and stuff. Like, we're trying to make the country more accessible. Let's do that.
Is this like the avenue that kind of like you wanted to go down, or is this kind of just what found you? Like, did you ever want to be in
I didn't
criminal
even
law?
know this was like a thing. I did do a criminal case before, and I'm glad I did because that's how I found out I like don't want to do that kind of work. But it was very helpful. When I first like and going to law school, like people tell you when you're younger, like, oh, you like to argue, you should be a attorney. And I
Mm,
hate arguing. I don't like arguing. Like in my personal life, I don't like doing that. Like but being a lawyer never felt wrong when I was like on that journey.
mhm,
So I thought I would go. I thought I would do like public defense, defending people, especially like black people and stuff. That was my motivation for going. And then I feel like I got into law school and I kind of was like, I'm not sure if I still want to do that. I feel like law school tries to steer you into either like being a prosecutor, being a
mm,
public defense attorney, or going into big law. So
mm,
I didn't even really think about like the job that I have now, like that was a possibility
mhm.
essentially. Um, but yeah, it just kind of sort of found me.
The fuck? The f Okay. Jeez. We went from a dead my camera's not even dead, it just got hot.
It's so hot in this room.
My poor baby got hot. It is so warm in this room. It is so warm in this room that my camera got overheated. That was insane. That was just
Yeah,
like
like the
a
last 5 minutes was crazy.
it's so funny because my boyfriend, like, I tried to make like pancakes last week, and I didn't grow up making pancakes
Okay.
because my mom always had like the little microwave pancakes that you can make. So I had
Okay.
never made pancakes until like a month ago.
Oh, okay.
I finally figured out like how to make pancakes. Just read the instructions on the box. First time I made pancakes, they were great. Second time I made pancakes, it was a little shaky. The third time I made pancakes, I put way too much water in it and butter in the pan. I turned it up way too high. His whole apartment was smoky. The fire
Oh my
alarm
goodness.
was going off. Uh and then like when I finally got everything done, I only had like 3 pancakes. I sat down, I ate no, I sat down and like there was a hole in the container that I was eating the pancakes out of. So I had syrup all over my
Oh my
pants.
gosh.
And then I had to go change my pants. I had to go put my pancakes in another bowl. I took like 2 bites and then took a nap. He was just like, your last hour has been
That was chaotic.
insane.
Yeah.
That was chaotic.
Yeah.
That's
Add
also how
water
this
little
just
by
felt.
little.
You said what?
Water little by little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I I
You'll get it next time. Why are we doing this podcast?
Yes. Um there's a lot of misinformation that is spewed out into the media, specifically social media, even more specifically TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things that people say and they have absolutely no information. They speak on things that they don't understand. I literally hate when I see people like videos and people are like, "Oh, I don't fully understand this," and then give you
Yeah.
a fully flushed out thought
Yeah.
about how they feel about
Yeah,
something.
people will be like, I'm not a lawyer, but, and then proceed to say all this stuff. And it's kind of just like the misinformation is being spread. Like people aren't like checking their sources, finding sources themselves. They're just reading the little white box and the black lettering and being like, well, this. So
And it's not hard to understand.
I would say for the
It's
legal
not.
side, part of like that part is,
Yes, but I
but
feel like what I mean by that is like when people are saying like, for instance, because we talked about this on our pilot episode, like the whole Drake and Kendrick lawsuit thing.
yeah,
It wasn't a lawsuit,
yeah,
but like people wanted like the clickbait, and then it's just like
yeah,
if people would just take the extra time, just the extra step,
to read.
just to read.
But even then, I've seen people like pull up some like legal document or whatever, like in the Drake law complaint, whatever. Um, and they'll literally like read a sentence. They're like, okay, da 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 da, and then their next statement will be like kind of some try to summarize it. And what they said is not even what the sentence just said. Like it's
Yeah,
very wild to see. It's like that's not what that just said.
and
Like you don't understand this.
correct me if I'm wrong, but like is the law is not up for interpretation, right?
I mean, no, that's not necessarily true because that's why you have court cases because
Okay.
they'll be like, oh, well, this law says this. And it's like, actually, the law says this and it's been interpreted in these other cases,
Okay.
which is like
Okay.
precedent.
Okay. Mhm.
Um, so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. That makes sense cuz I always just thought the law is the law. You break the law, they go break your
Yeah, like
ass
laws
like
get
interpreted different ways.
interpreted different ways, but also they can be updated. Then you
Mhm.
could change the language, like
Mm.
stuff like that.
Okay, now see, language is important because I
Mhm.
think in both of our fields, language is very important. Words have meaning, and more importantly, words have tone. Words carry
Mhm.
a tone, and
Yeah.
that'll set the stage for like how you actually interpret something.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
And another thing is that we've noticed like these blogs, these news outlets, news
Mm-hmm.
sources and stuff, a lot of them are just copying and pasting each other.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're not doing their own work.
Research.
Yeah, research, journalism, all that other stuff. So a lot of them are contributing to the spread of misinformation
Mm-hmm.
by, not doing their actual work.
Yeah.
So we just want to
Inform.
yeah, inform. Like when we're talking, we've researched what we're talking
We got our notes,
about. We
y'all.
got our
We got
notes,
our
we got our
notes.
sources, and we actually, the different understandings that we have can contribute to a more truthful narrative. So that's just what we're trying to do, trying to stop misinformation, spread the truth, get you some facts.
And get you
That's
some lore.
get you some
Get you
lore.
some
It's a lot
lore.
of lore out there,
Yeah.
a lot. And we love to talk.
Yeah, and then I feel like one thing that we hear a lot of people talking about, oh, this is so funny. People be like, "Oh, I'm gonna sue you for like defamation."
Yeah.
Defamation is so funny because I think I've only taken one law-based course
Hmm.
when I was in college, and that was media law. We talked about two things. We talked about freedom of speech, and we talked about defamation,
Hmm.
and we covered the Cardi B and Tasha K case.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh, that lady thought you cannot just get away with saying absolutely anything on the internet. Your ass can get in trouble. Your ass can get in some serious trouble. That lady got a $6 million dollar lawsuit chasing after her, all because she had some agenda on Cardi B.
Yeah,
Okay, she'll be in debt for the rest of her life.
seriously.
That's insane.
But then it's sometimes, let me just say this. Y'all do not understand what defamation is. Like you people really, really don't. Like it occurs so much, especially when there's drama between people happening
Mm-hmm.
online. They're like that people use the lack of a lawsuit um for defamation as like justification that that person actually did something,
Mm-hmm.
or if there is a lawsuit that that person didn't do it. Like I think with the whole like Drake beef and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that, people were saying, "Oh, he's suing because he's not even suing Kendrick
Yeah,
Lamar."
he petitioned the courts to get some information from like Apple
Exactly.
Music or something like that.
And so so people were like, "Oh, but he didn't sue them for defamation for the allegations."
Mm-hmm.
So da da da. I am not. First of all, I'm not defending Drake. Let's make that very clear.
Let's make
Let's
that
not
very
very clear.
clear.
I'm just trying to clear up some things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go over defamation.
Mm-hmm.
So what in order to prove defamation, there are four elements. One, a false defamatory statement needs to be made.
Mm-hmm.
The statement that's made needs to be false.
And
It can't be true.
but what? Okay, so I'll ask you this question: what if someone says something, it is false, but they are under the um like they think that it is true, and they believe that it is true because they have like seen some like evidence or something that is true, but in the end it was false. Because is
Like
that
you
was
like
that
you're
libel?
like you're kind of trying to, yeah. That
Yeah.
would be something different.
Okay.
Let me hold up.
Let's look it up. Let's research.
Yeah, let's look it up. I took these courses. No, libel is written.
Mm-hmm.
It's a published false statement that is damaging to a person's reputation.
Mm-hmm.
But there's libel, there's defamation, and slander.
Oh, I think that's what I was getting at, like slander. Like, there's a difference between when you're like, something is false versus when you are under, is it the pretense? If you're under, the understanding that something that you thought it was true.
Hold on. So libel and slander are types of defamation.
Mm-hmm.
So libel is an untrue defamatory statement that is made in writing,
Mm-hmm.
and slander is an untrue defamatory statement that is spoken orally.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I know what you're talking about though. Like they thought it was true. That would just be something different. That's
Okay.
not defamation.
Okay.
So yeah, because is there's like a whole thing. I remember this when I was studying for the bar. Like there's like your like intent matters,
Mhm.
stuff like that. But
Yeah.
specifically like for defamation, it has to be a false defamatory statement.
Mhm.
It has to be false. So so if someone were to sue someone for defamation, if that person that's being sued is able to prove that it's true,
Mm.
you're done.
Oh, okay. So this will tie into like the whole Jay-Z thing with what was
Mhm.
the girl, the lady Jaguar, right? Because everybody was like, oh, well, he doesn't want to sue for defamation because they know that like they like if they like investigate or do whatever, they
Mhm.
might prove that like he is guilty of doing all those things.
Mhm.
Mm.
And those are
Well,
the
I'm
kind
not
of
accusing Jay-Z of
yeah.
anything, that's not touching
I
that.
and that and so those narratives like that are
Mhm.
what I don't like one of my pet peeves when it comes to how people interpret why somebody did or did not sue. Like there's
Mhm.
so many factors when it goes to suing someone, and a lot of people don't want to go to court.
Yeah.
Like they
I
don't
was about
want
to
to be
say it's
involved. Like it's a
not
lot of
Jaguar,
money, it's a lot of
right, it's not worth
time,
it.
like it's a whole bunch of stuff. So people been like, "Oh, this is why he doesn't want to sue," and it's like you can't just say it. Like they're not just one. A lot of times they're not just one simple answer. I gotta talk
Mhm.
closer to the mic, but it's
Yeah.
not just one simple answer for why someone doesn't want to sue or will sue. But
Mhm.
like I was saying, there's four elements you have to prove for defamation. One, you have to claim one, the false defamatory statement. Two, publication. And
Mhm.
so for publication, I guess that would be different with like, let me double check.
What do you mean? Like publication, like versus like written versus.
Mm-mm. Oh, okay. Publication is it. The statement had to have been communicated to a third party. So if me and you are in this room,
Mhm.
we're not recording whenever, and we're just going back and forth, and I'm
Mhm.
like saying all these defamatory statements about you.
Mhm.
If nobody else hears it or nobody else has access to this, you don't like
Mhm.
you
Mhm.
can't prove the element. So if I'm just talking mess about you, I'm like, oh, this person said something bad about me
Mhm.
and it hurt my feelings, and I'm
Yeah.
going to sue you for defamation.
Yeah,
That doesn't work either.
but if we're telling it to the audience,
Yeah, yeah.
okay.
So
Mm.
false defamatory statement, publication. The third one is fault. The person you're suing has to be at fault for the statement.
Mhm.
So let's say it was three of us in the room
Mhm.
and something got out, whatever, whatever. Like there's whatever third person is here and say I make the defamatory statement that's untrue and it goes on the podcast and stuff like that, and you
Mhm.
try to sue this person over here,
Mhm.
that person wasn't at fault. Like
Oh,
it
okay.
was like me. And fault goes that goes into something deeper because you have to talk about negligence, and with negligence there's
Mhm.
like a duty of care and all that stuff. So yeah.
Big law stuff. Law stuff.
um and then damages.
Mhm.
So the person suing has to show that they suffered harm. And harm can look different kind of ways. Like there's
Mhm.
financial loss, reputational damage, something like that. So another example, once again, me and you,
Mhm.
if you can't show that this false defamatory statement that was um, communicated to a third party that I'm at fault at
Mhm.
harms you in any way,
Yeah.
then it's also like,
I
you
was supposed to
know,
say because I know with going back to Cardi B and Tasha K, I know that Cardi B had to prove that it took a toll on her mental health and that she
mhm,
was suicidal.
mm,
So that's why they wrapped that case up quick.
yeah.
Yeah, that was a really insane like case.
I should read more. I want to read more about that case. I think I will because I just knew what was happening, but
Mhm.
I didn't look into it. And I think that when people, which is why I wouldn't give an opinion on it right now,
Mhm.
people will hear something happen just from what snippets they found from social media and be like, "This is everything that happened."
No, see, she wasn't even doing that. She was
No, I mean like
practically
people talking about it, not specifically her.
yeah, I
What
was
were you
gonna
saying?
say because Tasha K was practically like talking out of her ass about Cardi B. Like she was saying things like she had
Oh
herpes
my
and things
gosh.
like she was going off the deep end. She was just rumors. And there's a whole conspiracy theory about Tasha K and the whole Cardi B and like why she didn't like her and all of these things or whatever that were talked about in the case. But like essentially like Tasha K was just gunning after her, and it was like it was a lot of the things that Tasha K was saying about Cardi B was not something that you were hearing anywhere else but from Tasha K.
Okay.
So it was just like it was just Tasha K. She got a bunch to say about it. She got all these like receipts.
She's
Could not be
wild. That's
proven.
wild.
No, it wasn't. That case is insane. And then just how the case ended, and like Tasha K was like crying, and Cardi B was like, I kind of. She was like, it was the principle. Like I had to,
Yeah.
because like that lady ain't got the $6 million. She ain't got the money. She ain't got
But
it.
it's like you won't do this again. And
Right.
other people
But
learn from that.
still, she's anyway. Tasha K.
Yeah. But
God
also
bless these bloggers.
maybe we should I want to say something. The next thing I say I want to like I don't know if we could clip that and put in the beginning. But I am not offering legal advice.
Oh yeah.
This is not legal advice. These are my own opinions.
Mm-hmm.
I don't offer legal advice. People DM me all the time asking for it. And I'm like, y'all are trying to get my license snatched. I would like to remain
An
licensed.
attorney.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like my job. I would like to keep it. So these opinions are my own. This is not legal advice.
Yes.
We're
We're just
informing
chatting and
you about
informing.
things.
Yeah.
Yes, this is not legal advice.
Yes. So
But
y'all can
just
stop getting on social media, and when somebody say something that hurt your feelings,
be
and be
like,
like, I'm gonna sue you for
I'm gonna sue you
defamation.
for defamation. They sue you for defamation. Now, someone that actually recently sued for defamation
Mm-hmm.
is Chris Brown.
Why? What is he? Okay, who is he suing for
He
defamation?
is suing um Warner Brothers
Mm-hmm.
Discovery
Mm-hmm.
because of that documentary that they released
Okay.
last year. It's called Chris Brown: A History of Violence.
Pause.
Yes.
I need to do more research on this, but for the life of me, I don't understand why there are a lot of studios now putting. I'm assuming it has a lot to do with IPs and intellectual property, but there are a lot of documentaries out that do not involve the
People
person.
involved,
There's
yeah.
there's so many Diddy documentaries out. And they
Yeah.
don't involve him at all. They don't involve any of the people that are involved in the case. Y'all don't use those documentaries as like research or as like
Yeah.
ground information. Like it is not. It is from a third party. All of that information is gathered from a third party. Yes, there is somebody that probably reads and does all the research and does the best that they can, but at the end of the day, there are people that are
Yeah.
getting on camera and coming to conclusions that most likely are not true.
Yeah. And
Let's
as we can see in this Chris Brown case, that's what like he's saying. Like,
right.
um, I haven't been able to find the initial complaint anywhere. Um, but from what I've seen so far, so I'm not gonna speak on it too much because I haven't read the complaint. But from what I've seen so far, he is like in his complaint, he's like saying that the allegations that they made against him in this documentary are misleading and discredited. Like I think they're bringing up like some old settlements that he was involved
Yeah, Chris
in.
Brown was in a lot of legal trouble at one point. A lot.
Yeah, but for them to say like, oh, he did these things, and if a court case came where he wasn't found guilty, you really aren't supposed to say like this person did this stuff because they haven't been found guilty.
Okay,
Like,
question. Can the word allegedly save you from defamation? Like, can I make a false statement and say allegedly in front of it?
So I think this is like if you go to law school or whatever, you know, probably the answer to this already. But this is the answer you're going to get a lot when it comes to legal stuff. It depends.
Okay.
It literally depends. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right.
But yeah, so we say all that to say like I think it's very important for people to know what defamation is. You can't just go around suing somebody because they said something that you don't like. Because that reminds me of that situation with the teacher who was
Mhm.
having the students braid his hair. You remember that on TikTok? It was like a big thing.
Yes.
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 So his sister, like people were talking mess about him. So his sister came, she made a video on
Mhm.
TikTok and she was like, "We're gonna sue y'all for defamation because y'all are talking bad about him." And it's just like,
Can she sue everybody?
one, you can't sue everybody. Two, like I feel like people just say that as a threat to scare people because
Yeah.
people are scared of court.
Yeah.
Two, nobody, from what I saw, people were saying things that were false. He told y'all saw him braiding the hair. He said that they were texting him and all that other stuff. Like it was crazy. So it's like stuff like that. Like you can't just say you're gonna sue people for defamation. And even then, the amount of money and time and stuff that it takes to go into like a court case. Are you really about to sue somebody?
See,
No.
me and Antonia, we didn't go to at the same time, so you don't know about that little scandal that happened with the teacher.
Mm-mm.
Girl, now see, I don't know if the word allegedly can save me, but he got there was a teacher that got into a lot of trouble.
Really?
Yes, there was this girl. She herself was trouble. Like,
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about something.
if if you went, you know the exact situation that I'm talking about. If you went, you know this exact situation I'm talking about. You know the girl and you know the teacher I'm talking about. First of all, the teacher was like, he was younger. He wasn't like an older teacher. He
Mm-hmm.
was a younger teacher. He was a pretty fly dude. Like he was a pretty good looking dude. He was pretty
Mm.
charismatic. I think he was the special ed teacher.
Okay.
And I believe that he was like working with the girl. The girl is I don't want to like fully expose this girl on camera, but insane. I'm talking
Mm.
about insane. Like this girl ain't got nothing on E Kane.
Oh my gosh.
Insane.
And that's all you need to say. That's all you
Yeah,
need to
no,
say.
this girl ain't got nothing on E Kane.
Uh-huh.
But there was just a situation where like, apparently they were texting. I don't know what the text messages were about, but he did get fired. I don't know if he made it to that list, that
I mean, you
that
can look it up.
forbidden list. I don't even know. I don't know if the name that we called him is his real name.
Okay.
It was
Okay.
so I don't know if that was
Like
his
his
real
name.
name. Sorry, y'all. I don't know if that was his. I don't know if that was his real name.
Interesting.
So I don't want to.
Sounds like a fake name.
Yeah, and
But it's like, can you use a fake name
I've seen
as a
him.
teacher?
Child, I've seen him recently. Not even recently. But I definitely saw him after the whole situation happened.
Not that texting.
That's why I say it was.
Need boundaries. Teachers need boundaries.
It was so weird. The girl was weird. I hate to say this, but a lot of us did not believe that anything actually happened because the girl was like, I'm pretty sure she was like prostituting. And I think she was just trying to like get him.
Illicit.
Yeah. But like I have some of my teachers' numbers in school. I had like these numbers. I've had his number since. Yeah, like I've seen her.
But here's the thing. I think that's why it's so important as a teacher to like create those boundaries and make them so clear. Because I think I might have told me this actually. There was a student who like wrote this note to a teacher saying like how she felt for him, like all that other
I saw
stuff.
about that, yeah.
And he brought a female teacher in to like so they both could talk to
Yeah,
her.
I think it was like the principal. Like he got like the head of school involved, and then
Was
like
it Maryland?
I don't know.
I just situation. Oh, I mean, it probably happened more often than not.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, because I just heard a girl on TikTok talking about it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, she was like, I wrote a note to a teacher, a love letter to a teacher. I gave it to the teacher, and then like he got like the principal, like a female teacher involved. They had a whole sit down with me, and they talked to my parents about everything.
I don't know like the parents part, but I might ask him again because I think it was like an actual thing that happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like as a teacher, there shouldn't be any blurred lines. So even them texting, I feel like the first hint he got that something was off, it should have been like, oh, immediately, like you got to talk about this.
Also, those kids were young. I don't believe those were high school kids. Like we're talking about like the first guy, the guy that was getting his like hair like braided out. I don't think those kids were like high school.
I think he worked at a high school because that was in Maryland.
Okay.
That was in Maryland. Went to school at ex's school, his high school.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
What school did Eric go to?
Some school in Walton.
Oh,
Yeah. Anyway,
anyway.
so I don't know. We're starting the topic, but I think I hate when I see teachers post their students on social media. When I have kids and they go to school, if I go on social media and I see my child on there, I am going to like I'm going
I've
down
seen
there.
that, like, there's a trend where
Where
there
they're
are,
like they line up and then they're
yes,
like, oh,
and
I
the
could guess
teacher
his
has
voice.
to
I
guess the
hate
voice.
that.
Because I'm like, did you get permission from all of those parents? Because I remember when I was in school, I think I was in like elementary school, there was a movie coming to film. There was like a documentary. We
Hmm.
all had to, like, our
Get a
parents had
sign.
to get things signed, and they had to like, and like, if your parents did not get a sign, you had to leave the room.
Yeah.
But like that,
Because you
I
have
feel
to,
like
that's anyway in the paperwork for even to be posted on the school
I
website.
feel like because people don't see social media, and this is going to get into media literacy, people do not see social media as like what it is. Millions of people can see you. Like, it is easier for people to find you on social media than it is for like them to go and see a movie, to see like
Yeah.
a specific person in a movie. Social media is very accessible. There are people all over the world. And I think one of the craziest things I've ever like heard, there was actually a podcast called Betrayal,
Mm.
and it talks about like these women who marry men, and these men, they have CP addiction, so they have a bunch of this stuff on their computer. And one woman said that like there were a bunch of innocent pictures of children
Yeah.
on his like
Yeah.
computer,
Yeah.
and that to me is like horrific.
Yeah.
You as a teacher, you think you're doing some like cute little TikTok trend, you could be putting your children, your students in harm's way, because you are not realizing that like there are millions of people that could see this video. They can save it, they can download it, they can frame a picture of it and put it on their wall,
And,
and you just put these kids out there for that.
and here's also the thing, because some people aren't even teacher, like their content creation isn't even or their content isn't even teaching. Like it could be
Mhm.
like a one-off video. But think
Yeah.
about the other videos that you have on TikTok
Mhm. The
where
things
you're
that you're
like
talking
out
about.
of the you could be out with your friends and
Mhm.
you're doing a day in my life or anything like that. This you could even have like 100 views or anything like that. You don't know who those 100 people are, but also at the
Mhm.
same time I see that you're talking about, oh, spend a day with me, and you're going different places in different cities. Now they have your location. Now they know where you frequent. Now they know what club you go to. They're like, okay, I can narrow this down. This
Child,
person is Georgia.
I've
This person
literally
is in Atlanta.
I
This
made a video
person,
about that. There was a trend where people were posting like, "Oh, me and my boyfriend live like so far away," and then it would
yeah,
be like a short distance away, but like you screenshot it, like the time and distance, like where the vicinity of like where you live, the vicinity of where your loved one live, and the distance from like how to get there, and the route technically. Like,
yeah.
are we insane?
Oh my gosh,
Are we insane?
you know what kills me? The day in life as a person who live like when people say that they live alone on social media, like especially women, like that kills me.
There's actually a guy on TikTok who will find your
I've
location
seen him.
based off of all of the things that you post. But
Yeah.
just going back to media literacy, because that's something that I want to
Mhm.
cover with you all. Um the average adult spends about like 10 hours a day consuming media. So even if you're not someone that's constantly like scrolling on social media, if you're not like
Mhm.
doom scrolling, you are listening to music, you have news, you are walking past billboards and pictures. You spend about like 10 hours a day. Adults spend about 10 hours a day. Children spend about like 9 hours a day. But I would argue that they spend more than adults, because now we have like kids like with their tablets, they can just get on
Mhm.
YouTube, and parents don't care at this point as long as the kid is quiet and they're watching YouTube videos for hours on end. But like media, as far as like what media is like a tool of communication that's used to distribute information. So any way that you can get your information is technically media. So
Mhm.
you can get it in news, you can get it in broadcast, you can get it in music, which a lot of people don't want to admit that music is a way of media, but it is a form of communication. People
Mhm.
can't communicate through music, and I'll get into that later. And then video games, television, things like social media. But like media literacy, there's nothing I hate more. and I've seen a lot of smart people say this on like TikTok. Like there's that one lawyer that you like. She also has a podcast.
Mm,
Know what I'm talking about?
mhm,
Yeah, she said it before. Oh, you don't need media literacy courses in class because media literacy is what your ELA teacher is supposed to teach you. Your English teacher does not have enough time in her lifetime to go over her English course and
mhm,
also teach you media literacy because media literacy doesn't stop at language and linguistics. It goes into critical thinking, psychology, ethics,
mhm,
technology. Your teacher does not have enough time to teach you all of those things because like I'll go back to music for instance. If you're someone that's constantly listening to violent music,
mhm,
you might find yourself becoming more of an aggressive person because we consume media and
mhm.
media has messages and those messages take effect because like
Have there been studies on that? Like, and maybe not music, but I know like a big thing was like video games.
yes, yes,
Yeah, I don't know
yes.
the outcome of those studies, but that's
People
important to
will
know.
become more aggressive, but and people don't realize that that is media literacy. Your English teacher does not have enough time because also when we talk about linguistics, language is very different on video games, on social media, and in books and articles and things like that. Your English teacher can teach you about like decoding messages in
Mhm.
articles. She cannot teach you about decoding messages through social media because social media is just it's really vast and there's a lot of different ways to communicate with people like through
Yeah.
emojis and
Mhm.
memes and there are trolls,
Sounds
yeah, sounds, trolls,
like
like, and then like things like words have, once again going back to like words have tone. Like you can get on social media and you'll hear a blogger say something and like just by the tone of their words, like
mhm.
just the words that they're using, they're really trying to convey a message with you. And I think a lot of people do not realize that when they are consuming media, they're not asking themselves the question of, do you realize that the person that created this content has a goal and has an
Yes.
opinion? Like when
Yes.
they put this out there, they put this out there with a goal.
Mhm.
And then are you understanding the message and are you understanding the goal? Because a lot of times people don't actually understand what's actually being said. Like going back to court cases, people don't actually
Mhm.
understand. And then you also have to ask yourself, well, what are you doing with the information that you just
Mhm.
received? The information that now that you don't understand. Are you gonna, because I feel like a lot of times people will like they'll hear something and they don't fully understand it, and then they
Mhm.
fill in the blanks of what they don't understand with knowledge that they already do have. And then that's
Yeah.
how you get conspiracy theories. That is literally how you get conspiracy theories. Like when the California fires were happening, there are people who have never been to the West Coast, people who have never been to California, don't know what the weather is like, don't know what the grass is like, don't know anything about fires in general, and then are coming up
Mhm.
and being like, it's conspiracy. It's a scheme set up by Todd
I feel like everything that you said was spot on. I think people use it like
for their own agenda.
not even that. Like some people really just aren't aware of stuff because like you're saying, like
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a lot of intent versus impact. Like what is
Mm-hmm.
the intent? Like because a content creator can say something so clear, I feel like
Mhm.
sometimes. And then people in the comments are like, what about this? Or about
Right.
this? Or this? It's like I just literally didn't say that. Like
Right.
I've had that happen to me on some TikToks.
Oh my
And
god.
people are just
I feel like people go out of their way to misunderstand you, but then that's going back to like
yeah.
media literacy and like tone. People are not picking up on like if I say something and it's a joke, I mean just a joke. Like it's not even about like reading deeper into it, but like my intent was to like
Mhm.
get a giggle. Do not create a conspiracy theory in my comments cuz
I
I
also
said
think some
something
people are
that you didn't
just
understand.
trolls.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
some people, like I thought that wasn't like that deep of a thing, but no, some
Mhm.
people are literally just trying to like upset
Get
you,
under
upset
your
your
skin.
audience, like everything. That's
Mhm.
why I'm the queen of like deleting the comment. Or I'll keep it
Child.
because if it's one of those, if I'm getting some money off of it, those comments gonna get you some money.
Mhm.
Um,
I ain't made it there
but
yet. Y'all
yeah,
follow me on TikTok, please.
follow her on TikTok.
Please.
Get her into this creator program.
Yes. I need that. I need that coin.
But one thing I wanted to ask you,
Mhm.
if you can share the source that you got the
Oh, the 10 hours a day?
statistic, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
about
That
that.
comes from Nelson.
And repeat it again, just in
Okay, yeah.
case we forgot it.
So just going back, the average adult spends about 10 hours a day consuming media. and I got that from Nelson National TV. So now Nelson is they are responsible for like your TV ratings. So like they are who a lot of times Nelson does like door to door, they'll knock on your door and they'll ask you about like they'll give you a survey about like television and some of the things
Mhm.
that you're watching. It's not as common as it used to be. Like now you
Mhm.
may just get something in the mail with like a $50 gift card, but like they'll ask you about like ratings. So they are responsible for like your television ratings. They are
Mhm.
responsible for like, ooh, okay, so I worked in media sales. So Nelson Television, they do the ratings. So they also determine like kind of how much an ad will be when
Mhm.
it makes it to air. So like you might have a spot that's like $10,000, or you might have a spot that's like um I don't know, it can be as low as $12.
Mm.
Um they really do vary, but yeah, like Nelson will kind of they'll decide those things because they do the ratings and they calculate
Mhm.
like how much this spot is worth, how much this show is worth, how much the commercial spot is going to be worth. So that's Nelson.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you that because another thing that's important to us is checking your sources, cuz some people will like view a source or a statistic and just run with it. Like let me
Mhm.
actually tell you, I saw this girl that I know, she posted um something that said 47% of Black adults in the US were single in 2020. And then it
Mhm.
compares it to white adults and Hispanic adults. And so I feel like some people are going to see a statistic like that and run with it. They're going to copy, paste it. They're going to share it in conversation over the internet, stuff like that. And so, what I want more people to start doing is when you see something like that, dig deeper. Where did this statistic come from?
Mhm.
Who was like, obviously, a person had to do research.
Mhm.
What population did they do research on?
And there's
Is it
a
representative
mhm.
of the nation?
Mhm.
And like, how did they go about doing the study? Because I remember
Mhm.
there was a bunch of these articles, those like people don't be trying to take baths. So they were
Mhm.
like, "Oh, it's better for you not to take a bath." So, one day I actually got curious and I was like, "Let me look up who is saying this, what studies they've
You
done."
know exactly who's saying it.
Yeah,
You
but
know
like
exactly
but
who's
but the
saying it.
specific like science, they're like, "Oh, this scientist, this dermatologist," but they'll say scientists. Scientists believe this, dermatologists believe this. And then you go
Right.
online and it's one
One crusty
person
old dude
who believes in something
he
or who's
smelled
a
like
naturalist or
tofu.
something, or like one specific dermatologist. And then the thing
Mhm.
is, they aren't even saying what the article is saying.
Mhm.
Let me look it up. I'm reading a BBC article and they say it's called, the title is "There's no need to shower every day. Here's why."
Jesus.
They say experts, some experts believe that everyday showering is based more on a social construct than actual need. And I think just because people will say, like some experts, people will think that means a lot of people. You could find two people and say some.
Mhm.
So, and
Some.
then you look into the specific expert, and let's see. It says some chemist. He made headlines with the announcement that he had not showered in 12 years.
Gee, what?
Instead, he sprayed himself with a good bacteria and even started a skincare brand based on that philosophy. Um, let's see.
Child, I tell you, the people that started the bubonic plague refused to take a bath. Why?
And the thing
Why?
is,
And why do we want to hear what you had to say?
and then because the thing is, so what it seems like this guy's research is on himself. He's like, "Oh, I haven't had to shower. I don't shower every day, and I'm fine." So people
Mhm.
don't need to do it.
Yeah, and that also doesn't account for like, is he going outside? Is he active? Like,
Exactly.
what is
What like
he?
temperature he lives in, things like that. So it's
Mhm.
like he's been like, "Oh, people don't have to do this,"
Context.
only based off him.
Mhm.
If you go to what's a random place? Florida. And you're
Child,
like, "Oh, your sample size is like a small town in Florida at that."
Sanford,
And then
Florida.
you're like, "Oh, 4 out of 10 women, blah 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 blah." Like, what make whatever statistic up, but people will focus on that. Oh, 4 out of 10 women, not 4 out of 10 women in this specific small town, in this specific state, in this specific part of the
You know
country.
what my favorite like statistics or like research is when people be like researchers say that like deodorant is the cause of cancer. They took somebody that had cancer and was
Mhm.
like, "Oh, you wear deodorant?
Boom.
It's the cause of cancer." Like things that have absolutely no context. Like people are
Yeah.
not like what's it called? Like it's just biased research.
Yeah.
Like what are you actually looking at, and are you interpreting the things that like
Yeah.
are actually being said? Are you decoding these messages properly?
And I think a lot of times this is for some of this stuff is for y'all to figure out yourselves. You can see a
Mm-hmm.
study, which one of these is like a Harvard article published this. Um, Harvard Health.
Yeah, media is
Showering daily, is
absolutely
it
up for
necessary?
interpretation.
You can't just say, "Oh yeah, a Harvard study says this." You don't just stop there. Go into, okay, how was the study
Who from
conducted?
who from Harvard?
Who were the researchers? What was the sample size of the population? What exactly did they do? Like, don't just stop there, because that honestly, that's so dangerous, how so much misinformation being spread.
Mhm.
Um, so we just really, really want to point that out to y'all. And I feel like for us, that's why we want to like make sure that we're telling y'all where we're getting our sources
Yeah.
from, where we're getting the information, and we're
Y'all are
not
gonna see
afraid.
us with these notes.
Yeah,
This is gonna be every time I see like we might have to say pause,
yeah. Pause.
look something up.
Let
Like
me look it
it's
up.
right.
Yeah,
Cause honestly, my fear is being loud and wrong. I swear, it's such a big fear of mine because
more people need to fear that.
oh my God, it so much shame comes over me. Like if I'm loud and wrong, like if I
Yeah.
even make a TikTok about something like, I was about to make a TikTok about everybody's talking about like the Black Panther Party or whatever. And
Hmm.
they were talking about like how they were really just a bunch of like YNs. And there's this like funny quote from like Huey P. Newton that I was going to talk about, but then I realized that like I was kind of misinterpreting the quote a little bit.
Hmm.
It's still absolutely hilarious. I can talk about that at another time. It's hilarious. The Black Panther Party were a bunch of YNs and crash out, so
Like, and
love them.
they did do harm to women.
Yeah.
Like the guy who created Kwanzaa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna say it because people were talking about it. People were talking about how the Black Panther Party was just a bunch of YNs and crash outs, and I don't want to discredit them fully and completely
Hmm.
because nobody else has gone to their state capital guns blazing making demands.
Hmm.
Before January 6th, there was May 2nd. So like I want to give them their, I
Yeah.
can get in their props, but one of the first black exploitation movies ever made by Melvin Van Peebles is a movie about this gigolo who grows up in a brothel from like the age of 10 years old, and he's working inside that brothel.
Oh wow.
He's working inside the brothel. Um
Gigolo.
he doesn't say many words, but from like a young age his body is being used, and his body
Hmm.
is being used by the other women that live there. Um Eventually in the film, like how the film like starts to like really get its kick is he does like these like live show performances so people come to see him.
Okay.
So he uh yeah, he's doing this live performance. Some officers are like, "Hey, we need to meet our arrest quota for the night. Let's get him. He's cool, calm, collected. He don't say much. Let's get him." He kind of goes willingly, but on the way to like the police station for them to book him, they end up booking like an activist or revolutionary, and
Hmm.
like the they pick him up, they arrest the revolutionary, and then on the way to the jail, they beat this little boy like he's a teenager. They beat
Mm.
his ass, mind you. He's handcuffed to the name of the movie is Sweetback's Badass Song.
Mm.
The boy's name is Sweetback.
Mhm.
So Sweetback is handcuffed to this
I'm gonna have to watch this.
teenager. Oh no, it's insane. The movie is the most unserious movie I have ever seen in my entire life. The Wayne's brother couldn't even make something so unserious. So Sweetback is handcuffed to this man, and like he just gets tired of being handcuffed to this man is getting beaten down. They're not touching Sweetback, but he's just like, I'm sick of this. So he beats the police officers to the point where I don't know if he killed them, but he beats them really bad.
Mm.
Okay, so he ends up having to go on the run. And the way that he's able to get away with a lot of things is that he's able to like communicate, kind of, and then like sleep his way out of situations.
Oh.
And like it's so unserious. He's running through the entire film. He ends up like running to Mexico. K boom. The movie had like a lot of trouble actually getting out there, getting attention because it was like a X-rated movie. It was
Okay.
created as like they rated it as like pretty much like
Mhm.
so he has like a really hard time getting it out of like, like getting the movie to like start up and get some funding. Actually, Bill Cosby funded the movie. Funny enough, Bill Cosby funded the movie, um, and then yeah. So the Black Panthers they stroll into a movie theater one day, and Huey P. Newton sees this. He writes a 3 to 4 page like analysis on this movie, calling it so revolutionary, and he's
Mm.
talking about like how this boy is being fed and nourished by the women, and pretty much insinuates that the love that he's getting from this women because they are not paying and because they don't even really have the money to pay, that it's this pure love. He
Mhm.
essentially justifies this 10-year-old
That's messed
boy,
up.
the most unserious thing ever. The movie, you have to watch
Have
the movie at your own discretion.
Have you seen Bamboozled
No.
with okay.
What is
I
that?
think you
Let
should
me
watch
look it
that.
up.
I watched it
Maybe I
in
have.
my one of my race classes when I was at an undergrad
Hmm.
UCLA, and like my first it was one of my first classes as a freshman or whatever.
Hmm.
I think you need to watch that. It's essentially about because one of the Wayne's brothers is in it, and so when you
Hmm.
said that, I'm like, oh, I remember this crazy movie. So I'm thinking, oh, okay, Wayne's brothers, and I think Jada Pinkett Smith is in it,
Maybe I have seen that.
and it's like,
I need to see clips of it.
oh my gosh, it's so wild. It just makes you feel a bunch of things, and then it's like, what in the world? Because there's yeah, so essentially,
What?
and this is just going to be a very like I haven't watched the movie in years, but I think is it Damon Wayans who makes it?
Spike Lee.
Not Damon.
I, it
Yeah, no,
says,
this is Damon Wayans.
oh,
Yeah, is it Spike
okay.
Lee movie?
I think
Yeah, it's
something
Spike
just
Lee. Spike
yeah,
Lee's
Spike
movie.
Lee.
And so Damon Wayans is a character in it. I think that okay, somebody makes a show, and the show is essentially blackface. But the people doing blackface in shows, these two guys, they're black,
Mhm.
but they're doing blackface. So the first time they do the show, it's like aired in front of a live audience, and it's not, and it's just the tellings of like how um creating that show and then bringing it to
The
because it happened in
stage.
it was the movie came out in 2000,
Mhm.
so it's like it was in modern day. So it's about like bringing the show, and the show gets crazy popular. The first time they aired it though, there's a moment where the two guys are like out there and they're like doing blackface, but it's like they're black, so it's like the people in the audience, mostly like non-black people, they're
Mhm.
kind of like, what in the world? And it's not until like a black person laughs that they all start being like, oh, okay, this is fine. Like we could laugh and get into this.
Laughing
You
at
need to
minstrel
watch that.
shows as a black person is insane.
But
But you
then it
know,
also it also goes over. There's a scene where it goes over like shows because the two guys they need
mhm.
money. I
Mhm.
believe they need money and they're doing this show and stuff. But then it shows you like slowly like how they prepare for like making the paste to and then putting it on themselves and
Mhm.
all that stuff. Like it just shows you because it just looked like, oh, these two dudes, they just want money, they do this. But the process of doing that like every day or every time they have to film is like taking a toll on them. Then you see how like, oh, a bunch of people, it became popular and a bunch of people are okay with this, and now and it's like people really actually shouldn't be okay with this, like this is wrong. It was like a whole thing. You should really watch it.
There's
I think I want to watch
also
it again, but it's like I was like, oh, Wayne's brothers in this, it's about to be funny. It ain't nothing to laugh about.
child, and then it's also funny because there's a movie. So you have Sweet Beck's
Mm-hmm.
badass song, and then the his son, so Melvin Van Peebles is the original director of the
Mm-hmm.
film, and then he has a son, Marvin Van Peebles. And if you see Marvin, you will recognize these people. These are pretty like notable people. He ends up making the movie about making the movie, and that's how I found out that Bill Cosby was involved in some of the
Mm-hmm.
funding. He gave Melvin Van Peebles some of the money for it. Um but but this is also oh yeah, Mario Van Peebles. I said Marvin. Mario Van Peebles is Melvin Van Peebles' son, Peebles. But yeah, that's like the first black exploitation movie.
Mm-hmm.
Even though it is, I feel like we would not have the Wayans brothers if we did not have this movie. It is a very insane movie. I suggest you go and watch it. Do
Yeah.
not watch it thinking do not watch it with the intent that it has some strong message. It does not, because our professor literally explained to us that Sweetback did not beat these officers because he was some revolutionary. He did it because he was tired and he just wanted the night to end. And he makes a stand many a times throughout the movie that he didn't sign up for this. He knows what he can do and he knows how he can do it best.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why the Huey P. Newton analysis was so funky to me, because I'm like, it's literally not what the movie is about. It's not what it's about. But like I said, people interpret media whatever way they want to, and that's how he interpreted it.
Okay, one last like very recent example is, have you seen that, what do you call it, like a show like with Cordell from Love Island?
Ciao.
Okay, so here's the thing. That show where he's like with Jacquees and the other guys.
What's his name? Oh, he fine. I can't think of his name. Go ahead.
Yeah. So he's with them, and there's a specific part where they're after them act like, he's like, oh, he loves her, loves Serena and stuff like that. That people that they're like, the dudes are kind of like, what they're saying is toxic.
Da Vinci found his name.
Oh yeah, Da Vinci. Yeah. So there's one specific part that has gone viral where he's like, I think someone tells him like, oh yeah, call some time for advice, whatever, whatever. And he's like, oh, me to you or you to me. So people interpreted him saying that as, oh, he's been like, oh yeah, no, like y'all need to come to me for advice. I'm not taking no advice from y'all.
Yeah.
But if you listen to it, because I think he was just like trying to be polite. Like he had a question, he just asked it. I don't think he was trying to say, I don't think he was trying to insinuate, oh, y'all need to come to me for advice. Because literally right after he said, oh, like me to y'all or y'all to me, he says, he kind of like his voice like trails off. He was like, oh, because I was about to say, it sounded like he was about to say, oh, because I was about to say, like, I don't know if I have anything to give y'all advice on. So people took it as him being like, oh, like him trying to be funny, like, I'm not taking advice from y'all. Y'all need to listen to me.
He shouldn't.
No, he shouldn't. He shouldn't. But I'm just saying, like, he's become the face, and I love both of them. I watched That's His Love Island. Oh my!
If I didn't have a boyfriend, I swear to God, I would go on Love Island. Like, I love that show.
Yeah. So, but I'm not. So I say all that to say, like, so now people have put him on this pedestal, which they already were before, because it's like,
it's happened
their relationship
before.
Has been like, he's a good boyfriend. Seems like he really cares about her.
And he doesn't listen to like outside noise.
Exactly. And he's young.
Yeah.
So people are like, oh my gosh, this young dude, like da da da. And I also, side note, I also feel like that dude, he was like, oh my gosh, I just love you, you're so pure. I think he was trying to say he green, like he ain't been through nothing. So it's like, this why you cool. That's why you love your woman. Like, what?
I think people, once again, context really matters to like who a person is. Yeah. Like, Cordell is the brother of Odell Beckham Jr. And somebody else brought this up, but Odell Beckham Jr. at one point was dating Zendaya, and they had a pretty big age gap. And I remember when they were like dating, and you would always see her dad behind them, and he was just like, "That's fine."
Yeah. I don't remember that at all. Like, people said that, and so that's why I didn't say anything, because I was like, I don't remember that.
I remember that. Yeah. Like, and like the dad was like always with them, and he was just like, "No, he was like, that's perfectly fine with me. These are just respectful young men." Shout out to the Beckhams.
Yeah, so I say all that to say that people, like, after they, like, I feel like people misinterpreted what he was saying. Like, I feel like he was actually confused. Like, he just asked him a question.
He always confused.
Yeah. He wasn't trying to be snappy. He was just trying to clarify something. And so now people have put him on a pedestal. And I just think the idolization of people in general can get dangerous.
Influence.
Yeah, especially influencers. Because as soon as they do something that strays from that, people are like, nah, you're cancel culture. Like, this person sucks. They're horrible. I always knew it. And that's also something I don't like when people come on the internet. Like, when people's content is talking about other people, a lot of the times, like, someone will do something and they'll like make conclusions about that celebrity or that influencer or that person's like character, their life. They're like, I think this, like, they don't even say I think anymore. They're like, he's like this, she's like this is going on. Y'all are doing this. And it's just, I hate when people speak with conviction about like, you really
people that you don't know. I remember I had a friend, and I don't know what we were talking about. I think this was a long time ago, but I remember she was talking about like Jada and like Lil Baby when like whatever their situation was going on. She was like, and Jada feels like blah 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 blah, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, I literally said, did she tell you? And she was like, she knew at that point, like, she sounded stupid. Like, so she was like, yeah, she told me. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Like, just maybe y'all should just add "I think" sometimes, like, cause y'all really don't
Yeah,
know these
I think
people.
is okay, or even better, in my opinion is a
Yeah.
whole lot
Or,
better.
like,
Like, in
"It
my
seems
opinion,
to me." Like, you can't just like, I feel like people
you
like, y'all
can't
look
draw
crazy
conclusions.
saying it. Be like, "She's like this, and that means this, and probably cause this child life and all this stuff," and y'all could be so wrong. People on the internet are
Or
wrong a lot of the time.
or you can be right. Or you can be right, and
Could
then
be right.
people give themselves the excuse to continuously do it
Yeah.
and do it even more. Like,
Yeah. Just think you're right
"Oh,
about
yeah, I
everything.
draw this conclusion one time and it was right,
Yeah.
so let me just continue to do it."
Yeah.
No,
I think I'm a great judge of character,
me too.
but 'cause a lot of times I am right. But that
Hello.
doesn't um
Oh, we didn't even talk about that, like, our birthdays are.
oh yeah.
That's probably why I think I'm a really good judge of character, though.
Like I think I'm like first impression.
Mhm.
Like I think
You got one time. Your
I'm
first
so
impression means the
it
world.
means the world, and then it's like I'll keep it in my back pocket. I'm like, oh, I'm
Mhm.
not saying oh I just don't mess with this person, but I'm like, I start to create a theory, but I don't use that theory to like how based off how I interact with them because I'm aware that it's like preliminary.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like I could tell like stuff from the beginning, like because I'm also very like hyper aware of like
Yeah.
little things that people
Yeah.
don't know. It's like after
Like,
we go out, I'll say to my friends or say to my boyfriend something. I'm like, oh, did you peep this? Did you peep this? Did you see that happen? Did you see that?
I'm
Like
not
it could be a
even
look. Like I'm
I
in
don't even,
tune.
like, tell people, like, my energy shifts, like, drastically, but, like, my best friend, she has to tell people that, like, if I'm meeting somebody for the first time and I'm meeting them, like, through her, she has to tell people, "Naya," and it's gonna seem like Niana does not like you just have to give her a second, but if I do come to the
Mhm.
conclusion I do not like you, you will never see me again, and 9 times out of 10, you may not see my best friend again because I'm gonna tell her, like, "Mm, I didn't fuck with him. Like, I remember she had a friend, like, we went to the same elementary school together. We went to the same well, yeah, we went to elementary school for a few years together, and then we went to the same middle school, and then, like, she went to a different high school her ninth grade year, and I remember, like, when I was meeting some of her friends from her ninth grade year, I met like 2 girls. One, still cool with to this day. This other girl, I was like, I just wasn't feeling her. That girl ended up stealing my best friend iPod, and we was gonna go jump this girl. Like, I just was never feeling her from, like,
Mhm.
the first day, and, like, I
Mhm.
just that's just how I am. Like, if I get the feeling, you
Yeah.
will not see me. I'm not gonna give you another try. Like, your
Yeah.
first
Yeah.
impression matters. How I
Yeah.
pick up on your energy matters. You will and that's I feel like that's the reason why, like, I don't really have a lot of friends that come
Mhm.
in and out of my life. I never really had, like, friend breakups. I think
Mhm.
the only problem I really got is boys. Like,
Mhm.
I got a little bit of problem with the boys, but I got my guy now, so I'm fine.
I
Yeah.
kind of feel similarly, but I have had friend breakups,
Mhm.
and I think it's because I've always been a good judge of character, but I would
Mhm.
gaslight myself, like, in the beginning. Like,
Mhm.
I would think something was off, I would not listen to my intuition, I would be like or I would think that people knew more than me.
Mhm.
So,
Were you ever someone that, like, would try to make, like, a like, a social connection work for the sake of somebody else? Like, let me try to be friends with this person because, like, we run in the same circle or something
no,
like that?
no,
No?
I don't like that, I don't
Mm.
like that, like, no, but I think because in the beginning, like, I was very like, me and my siblings were always together when we were younger because my mother
Mhm.
was very, like, protective of us, we spent a lot of times with each other.
Each other,
So I
yeah.
think I had to go through a transition of learning how to treat a friend versus a sibling because I would treat
Mm.
my friends like my siblings. And so I
Mm.
had to learn, like, boundaries and different
I was
things,
just
like,
about to ask
not
boundaries.
everybody is my, like, super best friend.
Yeah. I feel like that's why I
So
have, like, really good boundaries because I do
okay.
have siblings, but I grew up an only child. Like, my
Mhm.
boundaries are not to be crossed.
Yeah.
Not to be
Yeah.
crossed. I don't like because I'm an only child, but my mother has even, like I don't even know if she realizes, but, like, has given me, like, really strict boundaries because, like,
Mhm.
I don't eat spaghetti. I'm sorry, I don't eat spaghetti. I don't like
Mhm.
spaghetti. We never had spaghetti in the house. Never had tomato sauce
Mhm.
in the house. And, like, just something so simple like that, I don't eat it. It was never around me. If I don't want something in my life,
Yeah.
it's never going to be
Yeah.
around me. Like, there's just certain boundaries that, like, I don't play about my boundaries. I don't let my family cross my boundaries, my friends, nobody. I got
Yeah.
boundaries and they are to protect myself, my
Yeah.
ego, my pride, whatever. They don't get crossed.
Yeah.
They
No,
don't.
I definitely feel that because I'm a kind of person like if I am at the point where like I don't want to be wrong, the thing is, you don't have to be a bad person for me to not like you or me not want to be around you. And you could
Yeah.
just be off in a way that's like
Mhm.
maybe not hurtful
Something you just
to
funky.
you or like other people necessarily, but if you give me a bad vibe, I like generally don't want to be around you. So it's like, okay, I'm not around this person anymore. Or
Mhm.
like you're saying with food and stuff like that. Like, and I think also I'm a kind of person because I think this way, expect me from other people, but when I state that I don't like something and somebody tries to bring that around me or have me try it or whatever, whatever, I really don't
Mhm.
like that. Because
Yeah.
I do not like avocado, guacamole, I don't like none of that. And people that be like, try, you just haven't had a good one, da da da. Like, please don't try to convince me on
That
something.
is
Like,
so
don't
annoying.
try, or even especially when it comes to people, or like, because I won't always tell someone like, oh, this person gives me a bad vibe, this whatever, whatever. The only person I probably will tell like is my fiance. Like, he's the person I'm like, I tell that dude everything. Like, I just be yapping to him. Like, I be telling him like every thought I've ever had. I'm like, I think this about this and the sun and the moon and
Yeah.
life and death and all this other stuff. Like, I really just be talking to him about all my theories. Um, but I'm not always like sharing that with everyone. So I feel like when I get a bad vibe, it usually turns out to do you feel it vibrating? Somebody's calling me, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that usually turns out to be true. That it usually turns out to be true, but like, and I think we're different in the fact that like because for a long time, like I doubted myself and I didn't trust myself, that and being shown that I should have makes
Mhm.
me so like makes it so like important to me now. Cause I
Mhm.
remember I had this like best friend, like best friend. And I felt like she really knew me. And
Mhm.
so I would feel like I really knew her.
Mhm.
And so I remember one time she was like telling me about myself, not necessarily in a bad way, but she was like, "Oh, you do this, you do this." And I was like, these are actually very true things. Like, I feel like I could resonate with that. And so I feel like I try to do it back with her, like whenever like it would be an issue or something, and I'd be like, "Oh, I
Mhm.
think this happened because you have a tendency to do this," or like whatever, whatever. And she basically said everything that I said was wrong and that I don't
Mm.
understand. And
Mm.
this happened throughout our friendship was like
Mhm.
I don't understand her. And so I would think to myself, oh dang, I guess I really like I would just accept what she said. I was like, oh, I don't understand her then. Oh, I got it wrong. Like, oh, she actually meant this. Until I was just like, one day I was just like, no, like I feel like what I'm saying is like kind of showing itself to be true. And so that's when it first stood out to me that like just because I'm kind of like being submissive to what she thinks because I doubt myself and I doubt
Mhm.
that I'm right. And I realized I was doing that in other areas of my life. Um, Nothing ever important like school or job or anything like that,
Right.
but just when it comes to people, I would assume people know more than me.
Mhm.
So when I was challenged, I would just
Like sit back
submit.
and
I'd be like,
yeah.
okay, no, you're right, that makes sense. And then I'm like, because I think I don't understand. So
I
I had to
struggle with
learn to
yeah, I
like, no,
struggle with that.
Antonia.
I struggle with that too, but it's really because like I cannot always find the right words, which is another reason why like here you'll see like notes and stuff like that so that way I can find the words, see the
Mhm.
words and things like that. But like I have trouble like finding the right words and
Yeah.
if I know like if even if I know the most about this subject.
Yeah.
If I know I will get intimidated by somebody that like has all the right words and you
Yeah.
won't see me. You might not even see me in the
No,
room.
I really feel
Like
that way.
I
I
really
just
struggle
leave
with
it up to
that.
them. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, hey, you know more when it's like,
It's not even that you know more. You're just able to talk about it better. And that's
yes,
another thing. Y'all gotta be careful about that. People do not always
they
know
don't.
everything. My dad, this is so funny. Like my dad, like we like when I get around like my dad and like my siblings and stuff like that, we argue. We just argue. We just have a like
Yeah.
we just have banter like that. We will be dead ass wrong about something
Uh-huh.
and say it with so much conviction. My dad is the best at doing it. Oh my god. If you say something with confidence, and a lot of people get tricked like that. Y'all get tricked by people saying stuff
Yeah,
with confidence and y'all think that they know everything. They don't.
they
They
don't.
just made that up. They made that
Yeah.
study up. And
Yeah, they really
they
do.
said it with conviction and you believe that they said it with confidence. Oh, and then you know how like on TikTok, you know, and this is another thing that goes back to media literacy.
Mhm.
It's so easy to fall for things now. Like you can go and buy a white lab coat on Amazon. You can get a patch embroidered
Yeah.
and you can call yourself a fucking doctor and a dentist and you can get on social media and just start spewing out all types of things. First of all, I don't believe that a dentist should also be a content creator. Not to say that you should not be, but
Yeah.
like When are you
Especially
being
when
a
you're
dentist?
advertising products.
When are you being a
So you're
dentist?
gonna pay for this.
When are you being a dentist? Are you even really a
They actually,
dentist?
my boyfriend's sister, not fiance, oops, his sister is in dental school right now, and I think some of them work. They'll work like 3 times a week, like actually
I know
work.
that there are some doctors that, like, I know, like, there was a physical. My mom, she used to work with a physical therapist. He only worked like 1 day a week. But regardless, do something else.
Yeah.
Do something else. Like, do doctors and like dentists really have the time to be like on social media? I'm talking about like 4 or 5 videos a day.
And
That's enough.
teachers too.
Yeah.
Y'all talking about these kids can't read. You over here on social media.
No wonder they can't read. I literally just saw a lady. She propped up her camera. She put it in the corner of the room, and she was teaching her class. And I was like, I don't think I could have taken any of my teachers seriously had they tried to been content creators.
Yeah.
That would not have worked. I would not have taken you seriously as a real person. Nothing you would have said would have been concrete. You got this camera in the corner of the room recording me so that way you
Especially
can
me finding your content. I'm like,
yes. Like this is
so-and-so?
right. You just trying to get some extra. And you know what? I don't want to knock the hustle.
Yeah.
But like stop.
Y'all don't get paid.
Because this is the second time we don't brought this up. Stop using your children as
Because
content.
I don't like when people's parents use them as
because that gets a little tricky because your children do not understand and cannot consent to like being put on social media because they do not have a full scope understanding of what it is.
And then it be like the families people love. You can't tell them nothing, especially their supporters, because we're like, hey, you're posting this of your child. At the end of the day, a creep could be watching this. In my opinion, that should be enough. And there are some for you not to post.
And there are
but they just ignore it. They just ignore the
there
comments.
are some nasty parents out there that
no,
do
so,
not care.
Some of them are terrible.
There's a lady.
None of them care.
There's a lady.
I don't think any of them care.
There's a lady that people had told her about this a few times and she ignored it. But like you knew that she was seeing it because there was an overwhelming amount of people that were telling her. You've probably seen her. She's the lady that goes into the forest and does the ice baths with her like toddler.
Is she? Because I don't be seeing the content like that. Yeah.
Of course.
And I think my algorithm knows I don't want to see stuff like that.
But like she gets into these like ice tubs with like, like a little like bathing suit on or whatever. But it's the ones where because she's not always with her child, but the ones where she is with her child is also wearing like a leotard or whatever. And people have told her, look at the amount of shares that because you can see your shares on TikTok. Look at the amount of shares that are on your child's video versus your video. Look at the amount of saves. And people were just like telling her, like, stop posting your child. And like, she still does it. I think now she puts the kid has on more clothes, but like, there was definitely a time where that baby was in leotards.
I don't think.
I will wrap up soon.
Okay, cool. I will argue that parents who are content creators and their children or like their family is their content. I will argue that none of them care because even the most innocent, like you're saying, like that guy had like the most innocent stuff. And these parents are sharing where they live. And it's like, you don't have no security team. You don't got, the Secret Service or anything like that. And people could find out where your children go to school. They could do all this stuff. They could start, these parasocial relationships, people can start to become obsessed with your children. And not y'all really don't care. Like even think of the most beautiful, like the little, the twins that look different. Those two little girls or the little boy that had the speech impediment and then he got a little sister. Those like black families, I'm like even y'all don't care.
I think my favorite like family content creator, she does not post her children and okay, hold on. She does not post her children and she says like, oh, this is what my 5-year-old said to me today. And it's still funny. It still gets the engagement. She still like talks about it like she'll like act out what her kids did and what they said. And that's still just as funny as like actually seeing like children because not all viewers are like have malicious intent. But I know y'all remember this girl, Mia Knight, with them two twins, and she said the baby daddy wasn't in the life. Okay, going back. She met Bobby Olatoff, and this is how I first found out about Bobby. Bobby was hanging around Mia, and she would never show her baby's face. She doesn't even say her baby's name. She calls the baby Concrete. Like to this day, like Bobby has never shown her children's face, and then like it wasn't until Mia Knight got around her that she was like starting to do that, but. Them kids was all over Reddit and people had been telling her, stop posting your children. And like, there's a lot of weird things. Like people hated Mia. And like, for a long time, I didn't understand it. But after hearing about the whole Reddit thing, I definitely did. Yeah. But we've been here some good time. We get y'all some good content.
First of many, and I feel like
Yes.
even if we watch back and look at stuff and we're like, maybe like I should have added a source here or things like that. Just going forward with the podcast, like we'll tell y'all, like we'll be like, you know what? Remember I said this, like,
yeah, I think we can always double back on our last episodes. Yeah. And then if you guys have questions, because we want to interact with you all, come to us. Talk to us.
Not legal questions. Do not ask me.
You will get ignored.
Don't ask me what should I do, because here's the thing. I'm not just being a jerk. I will lose my license if I'm out here recklessly giving legal advice to y'all. And if you know attorneys that are doing that, you need to be wary of them, because like that should be a sign that person is sketchy.
Red flag.
Yeah, red flag. So don't ask us and don't ask me for legal advice. Maybe about a concept, but I'm not gonna give legal advice.
Yeah. I can't give you legal advice. I don't know much about nothing when it comes to that stuff. But yeah. So we'll see you guys in like 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks.
That's right now. We're on everything.
Yeah. Follow us. We on TikTok too. Yes. Coming soon. Okay. Bye.
Peace.
Sorry.